I've had my high-end DLP projectors here in my home theater for 1 year. And because of that, I thought this was a great time to revisit these projectors here on my channel and give them a 1-year review and talk about some of the things I like, some of the things that could have been done better, and just some general thoughts about these high-end DLP projectors. And here today, we are going to talk about my Sim2 Mico 50 projector and just some generalized thoughts and things about my experience with it after having it here for 1 year in my home theater. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video and talk about my 1-year review of my Sim2 Mico 50 projector. So to start with, if you want more information about this Mico projector or any of the other projectors I have reviewed and talked about here on my channel while I've had the channel, definitely check out the playlist I will have linked at the end of the video. It'll go into more details than what I'm going to cover here in this video, and it'll talk about all the projectors I've had during the time I've had my channel. So definitely check that out if you want more projector content. But for the purposes of the video here today, we're talking about my Sim2 Mico 50. Now, just briefly, some background information. Definitely if you want more information, check out my other content on it. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But this projector was produced by Sim2, and it was produced from 2009 until about the middle of 2013. And this projector, while still carrying a pretty hefty price tag of around $20,000 to $25,000, was not a flagship projector for Sim2 at the time. The HT5000 that I've talked about previously on my channel, that was more of a flagship projector, and it was double the price. It was somewhere between $50,000 and $55,000 at that same time period when it was produced. But the Mico was about half that. It was more of a entry-level, budget-level projector, if you want to consider a $20,000 projector that, for Sim2 at that time period. But it was a slightly unique projector compared to the HT5000, and that's mainly due to the light source, because the Mico has a 3 LED based light source, which even by modern standards is still a somewhat unique way to have the projector kind of structured and set up. And the way it's set up is you have 3 LEDs, a red, a green, and a blue, for your 3 primary colors. They are set up with a single DLP chip. They provide the color and kind of the illumination for the light source, and then the DLP chip kind of does all the processing and video stuff there. But really what you get, and what we're going to talk about here in a second about the positives, is you really get a lot of like saturated, just vivid colors, you know, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. But that's kind of the basis of this projector and some of the background of this projector. I will also mention this is still a big, hefty projector. While it is still dwarfed in size by my HT5000, it's about half the size of the HT5000. This is still a big enthusiast level projector. You know, this weighs about 60 pounds. It's a big boy projector, and you definitely need a dedicated space to kind of sit this somewhere. But more or less, that's just kind of the background info. So with that out of the way, let's now get into just some positives and negatives, or pros and cons, that I've had with this projector after having it for 1 year here in my home theater. Now, to start with, in talking about the positives or the pros of this projector, the first thing you're going to see when you put content on the screen is what you're probably seeing behind me here, and that is the color. Because of the RGB LED chips that are in this projector, you get extremely vivid, saturated, just rich colors up on your projector screen. That's really the biggest thing you're going to see, and the biggest positive that I have about this projector, kind of number one on my list, are just these extreme colors that you can get in the color reproduction. And even though this projector, when it was produced, was spec'd to be Rec. 709, because that was really the top home theater color space at the time this was produced, the colors that this thing can actually get up on your projector screen can really exceed Rec. 709. You can really get to like DCI-P3 and probably border, not the full color space, but really get certain colors in that Rec. 2020, BT 2020 kind of HDR color space. Now you have to use like a home theater PC or a Lumagen or something to kind of like dial that in, because it's not originally spec'd for that, but you can definitely hit those expanded color gamuts. And even here with Rec. 709, with the content that's playing behind me in the B-roll that you'll see, colors are just extremely vivid, extremely rich. And to me, that is the #1 positive for this projector. Now, going along with that, black levels are really good on this projector. Now, are they as good as more modern UB series Epsons or some of the more modern JVC projectors just in raw black level? Probably not. You're probably not going to get there. But in terms of interesting contrast, you get really good black levels. Now, according to the documentation for this projector, because it does have a dynamic dimming feature, that dynamic dimming supposedly can hit you like 100,000 to 1 on the dynamic contrast. I don't have a light meter to really read that and let you know for sure if that's the case. But by my eye, just watching content here in my home theater, the Mico is much better at reproducing black levels and interesting contrast ratio and shadow detail and all that sort of stuff versus my HT5000. Just because that one is so much brighter and a lamp-based projector, and just the way it's set up, it does not have the greatest black levels, but the Mico really does have a solid performance in terms of black level reproduction and shadow detail. So right behind the color reproduction would be the black levels. And while maybe it doesn't hit the numbers of more modern kind of projectors, it definitely holds its own. And when you're actually sitting here viewing content, it definitely outperforms what you think the numbers would say on there. So those are the #1 and #2 things that are really positives for me in terms of this projector and the content that you can view on the screen. Now, 2 other quick positives before we go into kind of like the cons or the negatives. One is motion. This has really good motion, and that's due to it being a single chip DLP projector. So motion is extremely fluid. You can probably see it a little bit behind me with the way the paint splatters there are kind of going up and down the screen. The motion is really good, just really solid motion, no judder, no kind of like weird motion artifacts when things are moving across the screen. It's just really fluid with the motion. The other thing that's a positive is kind of something that's come up because of my HT5000, and that is this projector does not overheat. There's no overheating issues. The room does not become, like 10 to 15 degrees warmer when this is running. Even though there are fans and there is some cooling elements in there for the LEDs and everything, because this is LED based, it is much less kind of like impactful with the heat. So the heat factor is really not a factor for this, and it definitely does not have kind of like overheating issues like the HT5000 does. So that is another big positive for me for this projector. So that kind of covers the positives with everything. Now let's talk about just a couple quick negatives or kind of like cons that could be better with this projector. So in terms of cons or negatives, none of these are actual like big deal breakers for me or anything that would tell me to like relate to somebody to shy away from a projector like this. They're all manageable in my opinion, but there are some of these kind of cons or negatives. So the first one I've talked about already when I was talking about some of the specs on this. This is a big and bulky projector. Okay, it's not as big as the HT5000, but it is still big. Like I said, it weighs somewhere between 50, 60 pounds. It is a big projector, so you definitely need a dedicated space to kind of sit this. You can't just take it and put it anywhere. You definitely need a dedicated kind of area to place this. Going along with that, while the RGB LEDs are really good at producing colors, like what you can see behind me, and the black levels are actually really good, in terms of actual content you're viewing, this projector is not very bright. Now, the one I have here, and I've mentioned this in previous content, is a special Mico projector because it has new LEDs in it, or relatively new. I mean, it's a couple hundred hours, but basically new LEDs. These are not the stock LEDs that you would have gotten originally when this projector came out. These are new, more modern LEDs that are in there. And so the brightness level is increased. It can definitely give you more lumens to the screen with these new LEDs versus the old school ones that would have been there back in 2009. But even with these modern LEDs that are kind of compatible and fit into this projector, the actual lumen output is not that great in comparison to more modern projectors. This thing probably tops out somewhere between 800 and 1,000 lumens, right around there. Really at the max is probably about 1,000. And while that is really good for a total light controlled home theater like I have here, if you're wanting to watch content with the lights on or just a little bit of ambient light, you'll still be able to watch the image, but the black levels and contrast and stuff are going to be heavily reduced when you have light on. So you really need a dedicated light controlled environment to have this projector to really get the maximum experience out of it. So that is kind of a negative, a con, that comes in here with this too. Now, the other thing that I do want to mention is the lens that is on this projector. And I've talked about this before as well, so you can definitely check this out and other content on this projector. But the lens that is on here is not the stock lens that would have come with this projector. This is a Barco lens that the guy that I bought this from originally, he took it and kind of retrofit and made an adapter to get it to fit this projector unit. And because of that, the throw ratio for my home theater space here is actually a little bit too long. And so it creates a couple of issues for me that aren't really, I guess, like problems with the lens per se. It's more user error or just symptoms of the space that it's in. So the first one is it does not fill my entire 128-inch projector screen. It probably hits somewhere around like 125, 126 inches probably, which, isn't like a huge drastic amount difference there. But you can tell when you're really looking at it that there is a border around the screen that is not being filled. And when you're really immersed in the content and the lights are off and everything, you don't really notice that it's not filling up the screen. But for someone like me or someone who's in the hobby, you want to get your money's worth. If you have a large projector screen, mine's 128 inches, I would like to have all of that real estate filled up, which this does not work because the throw ratio is slightly too long. If I had maybe another 2 or 3 feet to my space here where I could push it back a little further, then I feel confident it would fill the screen. But where I'm at right now, I'm sacrificing a little bit of screen real estate with the lens. The other thing that, again, isn't necessarily the lens's fault, but I think it's more so my situation here, is that I have this up on a rack next to my HT5000, and so I am unable to get it centered to the screen. It's kind of off to the left when you're looking at it, or to the right if you're facing the screen. So it's pushed off to the side. And because of that, I have to use a large amount of lens shift to kind of slide it over to get it centered in my projector kind of screen area. And because of that, some of the sharpness and clarity is not the best. And so again, if I had more space and I could center this like dead center to my projector screen, I feel like the sharpness and clarity would be better, but it does kind of lack a little bit of that razor tack sharpness on like text or real fine kind of parts of the image. But when you're watching just a generalized picture on the screen, with a movie or a TV show or like what's playing behind me, you don't really notice it. But if you were to pull up text or something that really needs a fine kind of sharp image, you will notice that it's a little bit blurry and there is some convergence issues. And that's because I have it kind of pushed over so far with the lens shift. So those are a couple issues that come up as well with this projector. And now the last thing I want to mention as kind of a little bit of a con, and I guess this is just my personal preference, so this could be a positive for some other people if they have this projector, and that is the dynamic dimming. The dynamic dimming is kind of a one size fits all. It's one setting. It doesn't have like steps to it like some of the other projectors I've had in the past. And so because of that, it's either on or off when you use it. And for me and for kind of my viewing habits, I guess, or what I like to see in the image, I've kind of come to turn the dynamic dimming off. And that's because you can see some screen flicker in the image when the dynamic dimming is engaged. And that's because if you have a small kind of like piece of light image up on the screen, a part of the picture that has a bright spot to it, but the rest is dark, it does not know sometimes how to correctly dim the image. And so you'll see the flicker and the light output going up and down on the screen if there's a lot of like flashing lights and stuff. And so because of that, I have turned off the dynamic dimming and just leave it with its native black levels, which raise the black levels a little bit when you don't have the dynamic dimming engaged. But to me, it's just a much more enjoyable experience, not seeing the potential light kind of flicker in kind of raising and lowering of the light kind of output when the dynamic dimming is engaged with certain content. So that is kind of a negative, but also it could be a positive, you know, with personal preference, because some people would probably really like to see the extreme black levels because it will shut off the LEDs if there's a complete black image on the screen. And that is really something to see. I've mentioned this in content in the past. It really is a sight to behold, to see it go from its peak luminance on the screen to like jet black when it turns the LEDs off. It really does create a really awesome experience. But for me, the possibility of getting the light fluctuations have kind of forced me to turn it off. I just like it being a solid image and not running into that, but other people may have a differing opinion. But that kind of rounds out the negatives. There's not a whole lot of negatives about this unit other than those few things that I mentioned. So with that out of the way, we are here at the end of the video. So hopefully you guys stayed to this point. I really do appreciate you guys watching my content. Definitely leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've seen a Mico 50 in person, if you've actually been able to view one. Let me know if you have one, if you're a fellow Mico 50 owner out there. I know there's not many, but let me know if you've actually owned this or seen this in person. And I guess let me know if you have any thoughts about LED or laser-based, you know, as a more modern take, light sources on projectors, because it is kind of a unique implementation. I know more modern JVCs and Epsons and stuff have started implementing lasers over the last couple of years, but the LEDs, not so much, you know, and it's one of those things that I kind of wish they would have stuck with this platform and just developed more kind of modern takes on it as the years have gone on. I think it would have been a really high quality projector image to have later on down the line, you know. So, but with that, I want to say thank you guys for watching my content like I always do. I really do appreciate it. I'm done rambling for today, so thank you guys again, and I will see you the next time in the next video right here on Secondhand Home Theater. Thank you.